Shadow on the track. Let's get it. I'm a rock star type nigga, fucks bad bitches. See me in the drop cause I stay.
Welcome back, everyone. This is yours truly here at M.A.S Media, Michael M.A, with my co-host
Aaron here. How's everyone doing?
How's everyone? Like, there's more than one person here. Yeah, so it's doing well, doing about as good as it could be. We're heading into the mid of March, the mid of December, and the coldness is upon us. Winter is coming. And so now I want to get into a very quick order of business, y'all. We have our Instagram page, guys, that Aaron has so dutifully created for us here at M.A.S Media. So if you guys haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to our social media platforms that we have available for y'all. On the Instagram page, we have a link tree, so it has a sort of a cosm of links that you can follow to be able to keep yourselves current on all the episodes that we have under our belt up to the moment, from season 1 all the way to season 2. All right. So before I begin, Aaron, anything else that you want to get to our viewers?
Not really. Hope everyone's having a happy holiday season so far, and hope many blessings to everybody.
Bah humbug. All right. So now the we have the Meek Millz saga that we want to touch base on in this episode. I don't know if you guys have heard, but supposedly, or from the videos that we were able to compile, it looks like Meek Millz was embarking on had a trip out in the ATL last week or earlier this week, and he took it upon himself, as he was stopped at a light, he was confronted by a group of young kids who were selling water bottles. Now, the fact that they were selling water when it's damn near 40 degrees outside is unbeknownst to me. But at the same token, that was their hustle. And Meek Millz took it upon himself to engage with these young kids and sort of get a better idea as to what they were really all about. So what I want to do is I want to give you guys a quick clip so that way you guys can sort of hear where all the buzz is about. All right, bear with us.
Support what we supporting though. What is we supporting? The water hustle. But what is we supporting? Honestly, young black people. My mom, big bro, we out here selling water, trying to start truck, bro. My mom sold it, bro. We out here trying to. Bro, you can't blame me one time, bro. I'm not gonna split it. What you say, gave them, big bro? Don't put a hand in my car. Big bro, they want me one time, me. Yo, I just gave y'all money, man. Man, y'all gotta split that money, man. It's 20. That's a dub. Yeah, man.
All right. So, you guys heard it. You guys heard it here. These kids were extremely rambunctious, and they definitely came with all the energy to Meek and his fellow companions that were in the car as well. So much as to say, I mean, hey, like, shoot, like what we here for? What we, what I'm saying? What was the words? What was he saying? I can just completely just had a brain fart. He was saying what are we supporting? Sorry. And it was just like, supporting our hustle. And so from there, they basically had that back and forth. And since then, Meek Millz has incurred a huge wrath from social media because of the fact that he only gave $20 to a group of kids for a $1 bottle of water, which is just, it's insane to me. But I kind of want to take it to my co-host to get his reaction, because I definitely want to hear what you thought about the whole encounter.
Yeah. So I had absolutely no problem with it. Actually, my biggest, I'm not even gonna say an issue, because this whole thing is really not an issue to me at all. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I did take away is the reaction, everyone's reaction towards it. Like Meek Mill is some some bad guy, like he's about to be canceled right now, especially because of the time we live in now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's called out for the cancellation of Meek Mill yet. Yeah, no, I'm being dead serious, so it's like that's my main thing. Like I have no problem with it. Meek Mill's giving the kids $20, and people are saying that the issue is that there are multiple kids out there, and that he should have gave more because there are more than one kid. They're saying that if it was one kid, then yada yada. And when I hear that, what it harkens me back to is the Communist Manifesto. And it's a damn shame that we're living in a time where people dictate to others where their money should go, especially considering that we live in a capitalist society. But every day is turning more and more socialist.
Okay. That is a very interesting perspective on it. I found it to be an issue. I know you said on your end you didn't really see it to be an issue. Obviously, all issues are relative and sort of, what's the word? Sort of circumstantial at best. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I just think that when we look at this, because I listened to this, I was on my way from the gym early in the morning, getting my grind on, trying to get my body back to where it belongs, at least. 2021.
Amen.
So I was coming back, and usually on my way back, I tune into Breakfast Club because they're on from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Every weekday. And
are you promoting them right now? They're not promoting us.
At the same time, I just wanted to definitely, give credit where it's due. This is where the topic came from. So, but yes, yes, they essentially were having callers call in to give their take on what happened between Meek and those kids. And one caller, this dude, had the audacity to come on and talk about, he's like, I just feel like, in these times with Corona and all this shit, man, like, he could just give a little more, man. Like, he could give a little more, And Don Kamin and DJ Envy were like, brother, give a little. He did give more. He gave $19 more. In fact, he paid $20 for a bottle of water that would cost $1 for purchase.
Yeah, he didn't even get the water. So he just donated $20. That's what he did.
They definitely didn't even push the water. I didn't even see a water bottle at that point. I saw a hand, but I didn't see a damn water bottle. So if anything, it's like they maybe only had one bottle of water that they were for all we know. So it's crazy to me how people are out here, and actually I think the point you made to start off with, as far as people counting other people's pockets, because it was funny how when Charlemagne asked the dude, he was like, well, then what would you give, right? If $20 is not enough, and he's a celebrity, obviously, what would you give? And magically, the call got lost. So that question. So, it's just really interesting to me, because if that happened to me and those kids, because if you saw, those kids were extremely disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like yeah. He gave the.
But hold on. I want you to make clear to the viewer. You said that I said I didn't have a problem with it. You said you had a problem with it. I didn't get your problem with it, so I'm not sure if the viewers did. So can you clarify?
Well, that's what I was saying. Is my problem is with the fact that Meek took time out of his day, right, on a cold afternoon, right, to basically wind down that window during Corona. And I didn't even mention this part as far as the call that they had, the conversation they had on Breakfast Club. DJ Envy even mentioned, like, these kids weren't wearing masks. Like, they weren't, like, there was none of that going on. So for the fact that Meek was definitely less than 6 feet across from these people, from these kids, and, and he took time out of his day to give them money, more money than they asked for, right? Because it's not like they were selling $20 bottles of water, or even $10 bottles of water. So for the fact that he even gave $20 out of his own pocket to help their cause, to help their hustle, right? Because at the end of the day, they are still kids. It's not like they're grown ass, selling dollar bottles of water with other kids to feed. You know what I mean? So so my issue lies with the fact that, with circumstances like this just it highlights a very huge problem I feel like in a lot of inner city communities when it comes to that crabs in a barrel effect. right? It's like you get one guy, you see that Benz or that Fedora, and that what's it called, the Porsche roll up, and you don't know how to act. You automatically start reaching for other people's earned success, right, and pulling them down when they don't necessarily buckle to your demands. You know, it's crazy.
So let me ask you a question, Mike. So, do you think he should have given less or should have given more, or what he gave was fine?
I think he gave more than he had to. Honestly, if I was to, I think he should have. I think $20 is more than enough, right, for those kids who didn't even look like they were in high school, right? So what are they really buying, honestly, out of their own pockets? Like, because again, if they were actually working, they wouldn't be outside, selling dollar bottles of water. So, I equate that to a kid, having a lemonade stand, and having a little business that way, So I think that's where I'm at with that. What about you? Do you think he gave more than enough?
Yeah, like I said, I think that I'm fine with what he gave. If he would have just bought one bottle of water for $1 and kept it moving, I would have been fine with that too. I guess the less he would have given, the more satisfied I would have been. Because I think that to give more is just part of the freaking problem that I feel like I'm always talking about all the goddamn time. That's not helping. That's not helping at all. At the end of the day, he really could have just not rolled the goddamn window down and just kept him.
During Corona, with no mask.
That's not even his city. That's not even his city, bro. It's not even like that was Philly and he looking out for his city. Now, I'm sure people might be like, oh, well, black folk go to see black. Well, listen, black's a color.
Kinfolk.
Yeah, black's a color. So that's not a people. Now, does Meek Millz know where his people come from? I would say I doubt it, but who the hell knows? Maybe he might know more about that than most quote unquote blacks do. But anyway, but in a time and day that we live, people, they represent their city, and they have an affinity towards their city. Like, for instance, I represent Brooklyn all the time, and I don't really represent Avenel or Woodbridge like that because there's no need to. When I'm talking to people from that area, I don't think I have to represent it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So outside of that, that's just what it is. So again, he wasn't even in his town. He wasn't even in Philly. He's out of town. He could have just kept it straight moving. So the fact that, he did that, which again, you said that was great. He gave too much. And even myself, 20's fine, but probably because he probably doesn't even have singles.
Exactly. Yeah, that wallet's full of 20s.
Yeah, that might have been the lowest damn Billy had. So, and the next one might have been a hundo. That's my point though. Why are you counting this man's money? And then last time I checked, that $20 that he gave to those kids was $20 more than half not even half, all the motherfuckers out there talking about it gave.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which is where my problem was. So that's just as much as well.
Yeah. You guys got everyone got something to say, but they ain't doing nothing about it. How much money did you give? Did you want any money? Are you trying to figure out ways to start a movement, to make change? Are you even trying to get to the root? I don't want to get ahead of myself on the segment right now, Mike. So I'll just come back to the next part. So who do you think is in the wrong? And I think obviously based on what you've been saying that it's the critics are in the wrong as opposed to Meek being in the wrong. Right? You don't think Meek is in the wrong?
No, not at all. I mean, what I do think, and I think this is the next point that we're going to touch on. What I do think he handled improperly was the fact that he himself filmed this whole entire encounter. You know what I mean? I think I have my biggest issue is with, good faith Samaritans, filming their good deeds. You know what I mean? Leave yourself exposed to people coming in and sort of commenting on those things in particular, those deeds that you're trying to show that you are in fact a quote unquote good person, right? And I've never been a fan of that. I've never been a fan of people who gloat about their charitable deeds to the point where they need to sort of broadcast it for all people to know. And be aware, especially people that have a celebrity platform. Like it is like people will, if you're a celebrity, someone will film it. Like I'm sure one of those kids had a phone. I'm sure one of those kids were taking pictures of you there. Like for you to film it yourself just makes absolutely no sense. And this is what happens. Now you got a bunch of people coming in your pockets, commenting on your quote unquote good deed. And now, but because of that, now you're being open to possible cancellation, which I'm sure won't happen because this will leave this news feed in 2 weeks, and then we'll go on to the next problem, quote unquote problem in our society. But essentially, even still, to have that headache on your timeline for 2 weeks in itself is just, I just feel like you're bringing unneeded, attention to yourself in that regard. So I think that's where I saw the problem with what Meek Millz did outside of his charitable action.
Well, so for me, I don't have an issue with him recording it because the good that I see in what he did by not, giving out hundreds of dollars, whatever the case, the good is that it shows these kids, or at least in my opinion, and this is the next part that we're going to broach, is two-dimensional thinking and three-dimensional thinking and emotional thinking and being objective. So when he doesn't come to these kids with bags of money, as they say nowadays, people want to say, "Oh my God, Meek Millz, yada yada," like he should have given more. Well, like you already stated, like how much more? Is there a cap on that? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because if he would have gave him 100, oh come on, me, you driving this? Why you can't give him 1,000?
Even that,
come on. And again, these are all people.
100. If there was 6 kids, they'd be like, oh well, that's only $20 a kid.
Yeah, that's the point. Exactly. It never ends. But that's what is first and foremost. The good thing that I saw is that he only gave 20. Now I don't know what his motives were for doing that. I have no idea what his motives were for even recording it. But what I do know, and I stand behind, not just like you're not Jesus Christ in the flesh, Meek Millz, or anybody out there.
Hey y'all, it's Mike. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So if you don't do it now. Download the free Anchor app to go to anchor.com to get started. Thank you guys, and catch you guys later on our podcast.
And if you think just throwing money at something is going to fix anything, then you're part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? And for the most part, that's what the Democratic Party does and the super liberals in our quote unquote black communities do. They try to just throw money on things like it's a Band-Aid and doesn't fix anything. It doesn't fix the problems, So by doing that, I would hope that at least one of them would say, well, why are we looking to Meek Mill to, I'm mad at Meek Mill now? For the rest of my day, I'm mad at Meek Mill because he didn't give me money that he don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? He don't even know me. But instead of when these kids go home, instead of them being chastised by their parents, if they're going home to their parents, they might be going home to their grandparents. Who the hell knows? But that's part of the issues that we should be talking about instead of talking about this. Because if one of those kids is my kids, and I don't have any kids yet, but if I did have kids and one of those kids happened to me, my kids, or in the future, my kid found him or herself in a similar situation and then came home and told me the story of what happened and expressed how upset they were that they didn't get more, I would slap the shit out of my kid for protecting me. I go to work, break my goddamn back, and you out here begging for the next man for answers? No. But then again, my kid probably wouldn't have been there because I would have known where my kid was at. My kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, my kid's either going to be in school. If school's not for you, then you're going to learn a trade. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Or you're going to be right underneath my wing. I'm going to show you what I do. Whatever I'm doing, you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. but we have to take more accountability for our kids. So everyone wants to talk about every Meek Mill, but there's so many other things that we should be talking about right now when it comes to just that whole scenario is so deeper than that.
I think I agree. I mean, and I think that's where, I saw more issue with the reaction of those kids than even because even if you would have given them $50, $100, I mean, equated to however much, how those kids treated Meek Millz in that moment, knowing full well, I mean, all of those different things. I mean, again, I'm not going to use the moniker that they're kids because, again, they had the mouths that they had to speak. And a lot of these kids are become older because of the different things that they're exposed to through life, TV, and all that. So not all kids are created equal, right? There are some kids out here that have to do grown shit because of the circumstances that they're being put under. You know what I mean? So I won't give them the excuse that, these are just kids being kids. Like, no, these kids they knew the value of that money that he was giving to them to the extent to where they were like, hey, like, damn, hey, he's like, yo, my ninja, can we get a little, come on, man, break me off a little something more. Like the fact that they were fixing their lips to talk that way to me, to an elder, right, is my problem in the community I'll say in that community, to be specific, if those kids are a representation of the youth that is in that area, that's a huge problem. Right. And also, this isn't the first time. Tiny, actually, I didn't mention this. Tiny, T.I.'s wife, mentioned that those kids are like they're known for fucking for harassing people on city streets in Atlanta all over. Right. They're known for being like that, being rambunctious and being sort of in your face and sort of being on your ass if you don't give them more money than you think they should. So my thing is like, I get it, dude. I get hustle more than the next man or the next person. But at the same token, like you've mentioned on numerous occasions in this episode, you charge $1, right? You charge $1 for the bottle of water. If someone pays you for $1 bottle of water, that is essentially the contract of sale. Like if they're if whoever's teaching these kids or patting these kids on the back to go out there and embark on business endeavors, because essentially it is a business because you're transacting money between two people. Somebody's got to talk to these kids about what it really means, what the value of customerhood and things of that nature between, and that relationship. Because I guarantee you now, anybody that gets pulled over by these kids, any longer is definitely not going to be as, excited to help out this quote unquote hustle. You know what I mean? Because it's insane.
But that's the thing though, right? They're obviously they're not being taught, and that goes back to my point. Because again, like, look, say like they're out there really trying to be on the up and up, but they're unguided, and obviously like you don't do that. You don't speak to a customer like that. At the end of the day, that was a business transaction, a cash and carry transaction with Meek Millz and 6 adolescent young men, and that's all it is at the end of the day. He gave him a $20 tip. He didn't even receive what he purchased. So I'm not even sure if I can call it a cash and carry.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but there's a quote that when you were speaking before about the whole like Meek recording it, and it reminded me of the said quote. I had to look it up, and I just found it. So this is a quote that I heard years ago that I think is very truthful, and the quote is, "Character is what you do when no one's watching." So obviously we see a lot of Instagram lives nowadays, a lot of videos from celebrities and athletes when they're doing stuff like that. And I always take it with the biggest grain of salt, because, if you're showing me this, I have to question it. Why do you feel like you need to show me that? So when I do nice things, good things, you just if you're really doing it just to do it, you don't even think about if it's a nice thing and I could get this from it. So you don't even think, you just do it. You're not even thinking about it when the deed is done. It's just over. And if that's really who you are, it's so natural that you'll never think about it.
And I think that's why I brought up the whole problem I have with social media, Good Samaritans, because I see it so many times with YouTubers. They go around putting the camera in front of homeless people's faces. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you ask these homeless people if they have their consent to show their face, they're just going to be happy that they got $20 to carry about their day, so they could care less. But to have someone's soul on TV, I mean, on a huge soul, because these people have millions of followers and viewers and viewership. You're putting someone's destitute nature and their downtrodden period in time, on Front Street, showing all that, and I mean it's a rough go about it. And I think that quote that you mentioned is why it bothers me when I see things like that. I can mention a time where, just for the sake, because this is part of the conversation. So there was a pay it forward challenge, right? Where you were, if you were in a drive-through, you would pay for the person in front of you. I'm sorry, behind you. And so that way, when the person comes up to the window, they would get that, the person already in front of you paid already. And so when I did something like this for and I showed it on Snap, but my purpose wasn't to show it on Snap to say, oh yeah, hey, look at me, like I'm out here paying for a Taco Bell meal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here saying, oh, I paid $50 or whatever. Like, the price doesn't really matter, right? I showed it on social media because I want other people, and I literally mentioned it in the video. Like, there was a purpose and direction behind why I showed it on my social media platform. I said, hey, look, y'all, like, do this, right? Because it happened to me 2 weeks prior to when I did it, and it bothered me, yo. It bothered the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? Somebody paid for my meal I think I was at a McDonald's. I got to the window, and the girl at the window was like, I shouldn't even eat McDonald's anyway, but that's neither here nor there. She was like, hey, the person paid for you in front. I was like, what? What? You fucking kidding me? And it wasn't because I was mad that they paid for me. I was mad because I wasn't able to say thank you, because I never was going to see that person again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then when I took a second to really reflect on it and think about that action that they committed, I was like, holy fuck, like, they didn't have to do that. I'm never going to know their name. You know what I'm saying? They're never going to get credit for it, So I did that video on Snap some while ago, because I wanted to show my appreciation for the person that did it for me, and also the hope that people do something like this in their own free time. Because look, that feeling that I had when the girl was like, she was like, hey, do you want the receipt, or do you want me to tell them anything? And I was like, nah, just here, just take it and go with it. And she was even shocked. She was like, you're paying for their meal? She was like, are you sure? Do you know them? I was like, nah, just take it. Just take my card and swipe it that way. And so I had to wait. It was a little awkward because I had to wait for them to actually finish ordering their meal. You know what I mean? Because they were taking forever. No, neither here nor there. But essentially, that I felt so good after being able to do something like that. That was my intention. So that's why I would say, like, if you're gonna do stuff like that on social media, at least have some sort of, like, some tail after. Like, if you're gonna show that shit on Instagram, Meek, at least come back after and, like, give a lesson, give something. Like, that's what.
Well, no. That's where you and I part ways drastically.
That's where
I get what you're saying. No, I get what you're saying with that, but no, we can't look for Meek to have any message to deliver outside of the message that he's been delivering for the past almost 10 years he's been rapping. You know what I'm saying? So I would never look to Meek and be like, oh, so what's the underlying message, Meek? You did that for a reason? Like, no. That Meek, listen, not for nothing, no disrespect to the brother, but he doesn't come off as the brightest crown in the box. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost. So and he comes across as having very little depth and very little to no tact. And that's just based off his record, and that could be viewed publicly. So if anyone is taking offense to what I'm saying, or if he is, at the end of the day, we have to be accountable for our actions and look at ourselves in the mirror. So again, no disrespect to the brother. I'm sure, You know, he's not like a quote unquote bad person to the bone, but he's done a lot of bad things. And the stuff that he preaches in his music or teaches in his music, it leads to kids doing what the hell they were doing. You know, because the selling water, that's just a front, you know, to get some bread. And then what else do you think they're gonna do with the bread? You know what I'm saying? So so I'm not looking for Meek to be like, oh well, Meek, at least you could have did this. Well, no, I don't even have that expectation for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't. And I think we as a people need to stop putting expectations like that on. Like I say this all the time. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So then leave that duck alone. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to bring that duck home and treat it like a dog. It's not a dog. It's a duck. And Meek Millz in this situation is a duck. Now, what he did, do I like it? Yes, because he gave $20. He didn't give him a lot, and you know he was stern on that. Yeah, I like that. You know, he's not responsible for these kids. All those kids were born into this world. That means a man and a woman came together. So that means that's at least two people that should be around to help these kids if they need anything, and then direct them. And they shouldn't be up to Meek Millz no matter how much money he makes. Say it was Meek Mill, but he wasn't actually Meek Mill. He wasn't a rapper. Same exact dude, just he never started his rap career, and he's just driving through ATL, and he does the same exact thing. You know, the reaction would be a lot different, I'm sure. And if not, and that just even goes further to shine light on the fucking on the problem. I'm just sorry. This ish really pisses me off because I'm tired of our people, quote unquote, the black people of America, of captivity. These people, the ones over here, I'm tired of them all the time walking around with their goddamn hands out for someone else to save them and solve their problems, and then have the audacity to blame those people. You have all that energy to be outside. I don't know where you got the water bottles from, and I know it don't take 60 y'all to sell water bottles. So what are you doing? There's so many other questions that we should be talking about or asking rather than, oh, does Meek deserve this? And I know I'm not saying this to you, but I'm saying this to the people at large. If you just type in your Google search, Meek Mill, $20, you're just going to see all this fucking, just populate your goddamn screen, and it's ridiculous. But that is my next point. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there, men and women, that when they first saw it, they probably were like, oh, wow, Meek, oh, my God. Oh, I can't believe that he just did that. You know, he's driving in this and that and that and that. You know what? That means that you're leading your thoughts or your emotions. And if you're a dude, most likely you're a simp. You know, you're a simp because if you're a man looking for another man for a handout, then you're a simp, man. Period, point blank. So, and if you're a woman doing that, you're obviously not a simp, but what I will say is it's your nature at the end of the day. You know, I know women don't want to hear that. They want to hear that, oh, I'm so strong, so independent, and I can yada, 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 yada. Okay, look, that's what y'all want. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want that support. You know, you want it. You want it, and I'm going to say it one more time. Y'all want it. You know, but y'all also want to be told, oh, you're so strong and all sorts of stuff and yada, yada. Hey, that's cool. You know, I'm not going to waste too much time on that. But I will say this. If you lead with emotions like that, you're going to do yourself a disservice and the person that you're talking about or critiquing a disservice. Because when you lead by emotions, you're skewed. It's kind of like having tunnel vision, you know? If I'm afraid, if I'm living in fear, everything I do, my perspective on everything is going to be fear-based. So I'm going to make decisions only from said perspective of fear-based. You know what I mean? So I will not live my life to the fullest because I'm afraid of every goddamn thing. You know, I'm not going to take chances. I'm not going to, you know, do things. I'm not going to leave my house as often as I probably should because fear is driving me. Because I'm thinking, I'm leading my thoughts with my emotions. Fear is an emotion. Now, when you're objective, which is what we all should strive to be, you look at it as a whole, and you have to have an inner peace. So if I go back to the fear analogy, say I just have like not a phobia, obviously, because if you have a phobia, you need to go see a doctor. That's different. But if say I'm just afraid of, you know, skydiving. I've never done it, but I'm afraid of it. Now, if you look at that objectively, many people skydive, and the majority of them, the overwhelming majority of them, do not die. Is there a possibility that you can die? Yes. What are the odds? And should you be afraid of it? Should you allow that to control you in any way, shape, or form? And if you do, then what else will you allow to control you that you've never done? These are things that you haven't even done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That is an interesting sort of perspective on this take. And so what I will say is that as far as the dichotomy between being objective and sort of being emotional, for the sake of this whole this scenario between Meek and those kids, I think it's just that I think it's the callers that called in when I was listening to the Breakfast Club interview, because there was a tale of two sides, right? There was the sides that are like, damn, like what do people want from a guy? You know what I'm saying? There's those people that called in, and there's those people that are counting other people's pockets, talking about how oh, it's $20. And I think it's just, I think in our society, when we run around and jump so quickly down other people's throats without even knowing the full picture and the full breadth of what a conversation is or what the full story is, I just think you always lean yourselves to create a sort of whirlwind or sandstorm of issues, right? As far as how your credibility is to be taken going further. Because again, if I have a conversation with you, right, and I say something that you may not like, if you're just going to automatically snap or go crazy, right, and just give me a 6-page soliloquy about how I've so wrongfully, chastised your position, but yeah, you've never once taken the time out to look at other posts that I've done on the topic before. You've never looked at other conversations I even had in the post that I posted to give yourself an idea as to what the fuck I'm really talking about. I think it speaks to a level of disingenuity, if that's even a word. I know disingenuous is, but it just speaks to that level of the fakeness that comes in our society today, where people are just looking to sound and come across as smart. And I think there's so much, reaching for attention, reaching for validation that occurs within our age group, especially, because that's usually really where a lot of the thinking sort of huff and puff comes from in this day. And mind you, I do hear it obviously from those that are later in their years too as well, but they're more concrete, right? They're not, they've been through multiple generations of nonsense and sort of waves, whether it be social media or the Cold War or have you, right? So they've been through a whole bunch of ups and downs. We, on our other end, I mean, I really, there's not much that we have to really say that, we were affected on, from a world stage perspective. So it's just, we just have all of these little trendy issues and topics that come up. And then it's just a matter of people huffing and puffing and sort of trying to create their own identity from these issues. And I think that's just where the problem is as well, is that I think you've mentioned this on numerous occasions. People just don't even have a sense of direction in their own lives. So when they see opportunities to build their own picture for people, to say, you know what, I ain't shit in my real day to day, but I'll be a social media justice warrior on Facebook, so that way people are able to see that I live a life of depth and of purpose, and they don't do anything. There's no call to action in their lives whatsoever. Yet they feel so necessary to get their points across in every waking post and comment. And we know those people. I mean, we have them. I won't say any names because a couple of names come up like right off. Oh my god, yes. Yeah,
I got one on my tongue right now. No homo.
Okay. Well, these people come up in our lives a lot, and from our own hometowns, and it saddens me only for the fact that you possibly, and it's going to sound fucked up, but I just think it's the fact that you think you can have a conversation with me and I don't know you. You know, I find it so funny how people like to draw conclusions from posts made on Facebook when you have absolutely no tangible idea as to how I move in life, what my values are in life. And if you think you can get all of that just by a simple, share and opinion, then you live a very, small and non-fulfilling life, right? And you're always going to be angry at the wrong things, right? So, I think that's just where I get lost with those people that we're speaking about that sort of are emotional thinkers, right? Because I don't have a problem with people who use emotions to guide their sort of guide where they come from. But when there's no healthy combination of intellectual hindsight and foresight to take it upon yourself to before you jump into those emotions, I just think that you're setting yourself up to sound like a fool, and that's where I have an issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, so when it comes to, I get what you're saying, but I think that there's a time and a place for emotional thinking. Now, obviously, if you're buying a car or a house, there's going to be a level or levels of emotion,
Sure.
Involved in that, or like if you have to bury someone in your family, there's levels of emotion that's going to be tied to where you buy the plot, what's on the gravestone, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to it, like for instance, with the Meek Mill thing, is that an issue based off emotion? I don't think so, because unless you are the mother or the father of any of those kids, and even still, I think that you still shouldn't have any emotion to it. If anything, if you have any emotions tied to it, it should be, disappointment on yourself, for because your kids wound up in that situation, and what the hell are you doing? So I think there's always a time and a place for emotion. I think that we just have to kind of just try to cut it out as much as possible where it doesn't belong. Now, obviously, I know it's hard because we live in a society where almost everyone is driven emotionally. That's why, do you see all these senseless killings on a day-to-day basis and all these other, acts of violence against one another. But, is it impossible? No, I don't think it's impossible. No, it's not at all. Like, why even put your emotion? It's not even about you. People so goddamn vain that like it's not even about you. So why are you putting your emotions in it? Leave that shit up. No one asked you. You know what I mean? No one even asked you. So like, just keep it straight, a buck, right down the middle. Would you be out there asking if your kid was out there doing that and acting like that? Is that something that you'd be proud of? Very simple things, I think, in my opinion. I don't think I'm wrong. I just think that there's a lot of people that just wouldn't agree with me at this point in time in their lives because they lack the depth.
I don't know if I disagree with your point. Because I don't think you're saying be devoid of emotion. Because I'm sure if I was to say that how the kids acted in that scenario was, saddened me, right? That's an emotion, right? But I think you're talking more so about the people that are up in a riff about the counting of the pockets, how could he dare, give, this money to these kids when he has so much more in his pocket and bank account. You know what I mean? Like, just putting themselves in a place where they themselves don't really even do shit in their own lives. Right. I think that's what I would want to make sure I get clarification on, because I do think it's necessary.
No, so my point is just when you use those emotions to then turn around and make a rash decision and act on it. Now, obviously, like you said, when you saw that video, your emotions were sad because, I'm not saying that we can't do that. Of course, right. Yes, we're human. We're not robots. But to turn around and then act upon that and only on that, yes, right. No, that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem for me. And it should be a problem for everybody because look, okay, yes, when I saw it, I'm like, it made me sad because I see just how bad we are where what he did. And I'm like I said, I highly doubt Meek Millz did that because he was like, oh, I'm going to show these kids that, you got to get out there and, do better for your life and work hard. And that, right. I'm going to be that. I doubt that. Like I said, that probably might have been the smallest bill he had, or whatever the case may be. And I even doubt that too, because if that was the case, he would have just given him 20 and kept it moving. He would probably want to pull up the phone. But again, I'm not gonna, get all up into, why he did it or why, all that stuff, because we'll never know. All right. But so the fact, like, he did that, and he didn't even do it for the righteous reasons that I'm saying that I appreciate him doing it for. So if he didn't even act, with that being a motivating factor, and then the kids react the way that they did react, it just shows. And then the people react to everything and saying that Meek is bad. And it's just like, everyone's wrong. Like, everyone is so wrong in this whole equation that yes, that makes me sad. But now, do I act on that and say, oh well, actually, no, I do act on that, but I act on it from a grander scale, and that goes back to two-dimensional thinking and three-dimensional thinking. I'm sad at the overall, because I see that everyone's mad or sad at the wrong person for the wrong reasons. When what we should be talking about is, why the hell are these kids out there in the streets in Atlanta? Why aren't they in school? Why aren't they at some after-school program? Why aren't they playing some goddamn sports? Doing something productive as opposed to selling that water. And they're going to have the wokey-wokes. Oh, well, they need money, man. It's hard out there, yada, yada. Listen to me very carefully. Very carefully. It's not that hard. You could get a lawnmower and you could just go out and cut grass. You don't need 6 friends to do that. You could go to the newspaper place and get a part-time job, being a paper boy. Paper boy. That's what the fucking title's called. There's a lot of different things that these kids can be doing outside of that. And again, if it was just one kid, that's one thing. But no, it's 6, 7, damn near 8 of them. Like, damn it, y'all don't even have the wherewithal to be, I'm gonna get this corner, you get that corner, we all meet up around 6. like I'm saying, like, y'all all, like, what is that? What is that? And they're lucky they didn't get crazy, because I guarantee you one of them would have got popped. When Mill said, "Don't stick your hand in my car," you telling me Mill not riding with the strap? Or he ain't got somebody with the strap? He might not have a strap, because if he get caught one more time, it's a. But I guarantee you, somebody around
somebody in that car
him had a strap. Yeah. So, or at the very least, he would have got out and fucked one of them kids up. You know what I'm saying? And then what would have been the headline then? Oh, Meek Mill beats up teenagers. Yeah. Nah, those kids were super aggressive, like you pointed out this whole segment, Mike. Super aggressive, and they acted like they had no home training. And it's a disgrace. Their parents should be ashamed of their goddamn selves. And
I think
that's what we should be talking about.
I think to bring it all to base, I think I get where you're coming from as far as the emotion versus the objective thinking process. I think I can understand, because I don't think you're saying be devoid of emotion. I do think what you're leaning towards is, if you're going to create an emotion, have a logistical sense of, or train of, reasoning and thought process that goes into how you came about that emotion, right? And not to just jump on a popular bandwagon of thought just because it sort of heightens and embellishes your sense of morality in a broader scale, right? So you can get a whole bunch of likes and a whole bunch of love comments and things of that nature on your, for clout. So that's even better.
For clout, yeah.
And I think that's where I can sort of agree with, your point in that regard, because I do think it's necessary. I do think it's necessary to, as far as having like an objective sense of thought. But also, if I'm going to be sad about seeing those kids, then it's going to be, those questions have to start coming, right? Because I'm not going to automatically be like, those are some, my first thought would be like, oh, those kids are a little ignorant. They sound ignorant. But then I'm going to think, you know what? I want to know more about those kids back. That's just how I naturally am. It's just, I want to know more about how these kids were brought up. I want to know if I'm sure I'll have the answers in my head already, but I'm sure they're not in a 2-parent household. I'm sure and all these things will start to mount and surmise itself in how I've sort of broadened my opinion on what is going on in this scenario. And I'll think about the overall picture. And this is why I had an initial issue with, Meek even posting, because again, like, now it's going to highlight something on a broader scale. And I know for damn sure Meek that wasn't his intention when he, videotaped. I'm sure he was just videotaping because, again, he's a celebrity, and they're gonna things like that. It's cool. Like, kids are gonna come up to the car, like, "Hey, Meek! Oh my God, it's Meek!" Blah blah blah. Like, I mean, obviously, guys like Michael Jackson would never do stuff like that because, they're Michael Jackson, But if they had the celebrity of Michael Jackson, it's not so forefront of me to think that they would want to capture that moment where somebody's, "Oh my God, oh my fucking God, it's fucking him," like that. That's a cool moment. But at the same token, it's like, now you show this, right? And now, instead of people having the conversation that you're talking about, Aaron, as far as what the fuck were these kids on, right? Like, why the fuck did they, like, we're having now the wrong fucking conversation about $20, right, for a $1 bottle of water. And I just think that everybody is so far removed from their own lives that they use social media a ton of times as a moniker to sort of live through me aspect, right? It's like, well, if I was Meek, you're not Meek. You work at UPS, and I don't want to say like I have a problem with people that work here. I have a lot of great friends. I don't say I have a lot of great. I have, one of my good friends, and Julian kills it at UPS. You know what I'm saying? So I have no issue with people that work as delivery people, because they're absolutely necessary. But my thing is, if we're gonna be, you're not doing what you want to, like, let's say for instance you're working at a job that you're not happy about. Now you're gonna go ahead and scorn someone who's busted their ass to get to where they got to and has $20 and wants to give $20, and now you're in their pockets about $20 when you pass those kids on a day-to-day basis, you don't even roll the window down, regardless if it's Corona or not. Like, even on a sunny 80-degree day, you're not asking, you're not helping those kids out. So what the fuck do you have, the gall or the unmitigated, mouth to even speak on someone who took the time to do it when you won't even do it in your own life? Because I'm sure you could spare $20 for those kids. But when was the last time you did it?
Yeah, but those are the wokey wokes, man, that get on Facebook and Twitter and be clickety clacking all this shit, and they have not done anything for their quote unquote cause or whatever. They're just all social justice warriors. I think they all know the right thing to fucking say, and they don't. They all lack tact, and they all are just emotional driven thinkers. And that's it, and that's who I'm out here to extinguish. I'm out here to shine a light on all these. Well, actually, that's not my goal. My goal is to obviously, create a better situation through knowledge for all people that look like us,
right?
Especially over here in this country, but abroad as well. I don't know how it is out there. I can only imagine it's kind of the same. I don't bleep and know. If you could take it and apply it over there, by all means, but that's who it is for. And no offense to all the people that do not fit that description. Nothing against y'all. I just have a calling, and that's what my calling is. Now, if you take some things from what I say or from what we deliver here, by all means, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh no, you can't use that. No, but that's my main issue, my main drive. Still, Mike, to this day, I'm trying to figure out ways that I can really, truly impact the community. I have so many notes, and it's almost making me go crazy because it seems like it's damn near impossible.
Of course,
but I refuse to give up. There's got to be a way, a tangible way, a realistic way that I can do what I aim to do. But again, you will never see any of these social justice clickety clackers coming up with any solutions. Right. They never have any solutions, if you notice. They all have a bunch of emotionally driven opinions, and I'm not here, and I'm sure I can tell you Mike's not here either to downplay or denigrate people's opinions. It's good to have an opinion. The more opinions, the better. But if you can get to the root of why you have said opinion, then maybe you won't put your opinion into the jar full of opinions. With supreme bias. If you were molested as a child, then maybe your opinion on certain things is going to just be skewed that way. And I'm sorry that happened to you, but we can't let the exception be the rule. That's another saying that I use all the time. We cannot allow the exception to be the rule. And what does that mean? That means the one-offs, like for instance, the George Floyds, the Breonna Taylors, those are the exceptions. You know, we're not out here. It's not the Wild Wild West where freaking you see quote unquote blacks getting gunned down in the middle of the street on a weekly fucking basis.
Right.
That's not the reality of it. No matter what social justice groups want to make you think that is, and try to promote fear in you, that's not the reality. So when they say, "Oh, we gotta," what they say, defund the police and get rid of the police, who's starting these? Who's starting these campaigns? People that don't come into contact with the police are starting these campaigns. And then the people that are out there picketing and rioting and protesting with this message are the people that depend on the police the most. So they're being pimped. Our people are being pimped. And it's because they allowed the exception to be the rule. And instead of thinking objectively, they just think emotionally. You know, and that's it. They'll take a video from Eric Garner, they'll take a video from Breonna Taylor and from George Floyd, and they'll watch that together. Mind you, all of these happened over the span of almost 10 years, if not 10 years. And then they'll take that, and then that'll be the battery in their back to go out and just, you know, oh, forget the police, yada yada. That's only hurting you. And that's not our biggest issue. I think those kids out there doing what they were doing with Meek and their reaction, I think that's a way bigger issue. A way bigger issue than the police killing George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. And if anyone has a problem with that, by all means, you can message me on Facebook. You can email us at the M.A.S Media Gmail account. You can message me on Instagram. You can come to me in public. I don't care where anywhere. If you have a problem with it, come to me and I'll shine some light on you, because that's the reality. Those kids doing that is far worse. That's a way bigger issue that we need to be focusing on than defunding the fucking police.
I think that is I think those issues are relative, and I think that's something that I hope that our viewers, you know, take away from not only this conversation, but conversations we've had on topics in our society in the past. It's that we're not saying that they're not significant, but again, relative to what's really going, because I guarantee you, for those occasions, right? Because that's essentially what they are. They're occasions between, you know, law enforcement and the citizens. You know, those occasions pale in comparison to the numerous amount of tales and you know, and situational sort of outcomes that we see on a day-to-day basis between kids and education systems, how they're brought up, how they're going about talking to their elders. Like, for every one of those ones that you show me, I could show you tens of hundreds of kids who walk around and speak to their elders as if they never spoken to an older person in their lives. There's so many, you know, constructive from the family breakdowns that are happening in our society that are creating a lot of these situations that we even see in the media in the first place, right? Because I guarantee you that those situations aren't happening in the suburbs. They are not, because there's those kids, for the most part, are just they're not being raised in the same fashion. So why are we not talking about the breakdown that's happening for a lot of these people to even have this fear in the first place? Because I can tell you this, when Nigerians come over to the United States, like, we're not, like, we know we're black. We have an understanding of that we're black, you know, quote unquote. You know, we see our skin, we know all this other stuff, but it's just that fear is not there, because again, we know that when we get in the car, we're like you. I don't have to fear the police, because I don't fear that I did something wrong, unless I actually did do something wrong. And even in that case, I know that I did something wrong, so I'm not about to fight you on, like, if I get pulled over for speeding, I was speeding. Like, I'm not gonna be like, if he asks me how fast you think you were going, I'm like, sir, please just tell me, because I'm pretty sure if you're pulling me over, obviously I went over the limit, you know. And I'm gonna take my lumps. But I feel as though when people get approached by, and it's just, again, this is how people are raised, how they're living their lives from a moralistic perspective, you know, how they're going about these things are literally showing in these encounters, and we're not paying attention to that. This self sort of self-sustaining, opinionated, view of themselves that allows them to think that they're better than the laws that are actually in hand. Now, am I saying that there are no occasions where law enforcement are in the wrong? Absolutely not. That'd be idiotic for me to make that point. But what I am saying is that yes, two things don't have to be exclusive. We can have a problem with the sort of the training and all these other things that go into and the people that exist within the legal system at hand. But we also have to make sure we hold even just as more accountable, if not more, as to the inception of where these situations come from at the home. Like, we have to be very cognizant of the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we do a good enough job of that. I think we lose so far at sight the beginning of the problem, and then just want to focus on the end result, which is where the person gets shot, and gets fucked up by the police. And then it's like, well, how did we get here? Well, and not even just that specific person. It's the environment as to which they come from. Like, why do these people have to feel like this to begin with? And there's so many different reasons that we're just out, overlooking and not paying attention to willingly. It's not even like we're doing it, like, no, like, we know these problems exist, but we choose not to address them. So I think that's where our energy is best suited.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you anymore, man. I couldn't. So to sum it all up, and it's I think it's just super metaphorical, and my best advice and takeaway for the people listening to this and that will listen to this is that you have to at least try to be able to look at something like that. Like the second I didn't even know about this. Mike told me about this, and when he told me about it, I was like, all right, let me check it out. So I read the article, and just by reading the article, before I even watched the video, which was on the same page, I just wanted to read it first. I was like, from that moment, I said, I got no problem with it. But my problem is everyone critiquing it, making a big deal out of it, and for all the wrong reasons. So my takeaway for everyone is to be able to look at something objectively and to get to the point where you skip the whole emotionality phase. Or you can have that. Like, again, I was like Mike said, I was sad. Yes, I was sad because this is some bullshit I got to watch. But, like, we have problems that I'm trying to solve. So, yes, I'm sad and I'm angry. I'm angry because I want to see change. I wasn't mad about, oh, my God, Meek Millz, you got so much money. Like, no, really? No. No. So the takeaway is train yourself to be able to look at things objectively for what it is, face value. At the end of the day, those were kids. That was a man. They had a cash transaction that turned into a straight donation, and they were dissatisfied with the amount donated. And then people at large took to their platforms to discuss how upset they were with how he went about the situation. That's what happened on a three-dimensional level.
Yep, I agree. I think that's a great way to finish this off, and I think people should just take our views with with the thought in mind that we are simply trying to be modicums of reason, so that way it's not that we're trying to make you think like this is how you're supposed to think. No, we want to create steps that allow for you to go about your conversations with other people about these sort of topics without just automatically feeling the need to go bah humbug or to boo this man, or boo this person simply off of what? Off of a lack of understanding the full picture. Like, I think our society needs to do a better job of thinking outside the box and looking at the bigger picture. When we can do that, I think a lot of the substance that happens in our conversations will be able to sort of will heighten, and as a result become a lot more fulfilling, and then we could actually be able to go back and forth with one another without automatically getting so caught up in our opinions. Because I'm sure if I had this conversation on, if I posted this question about what Meek did, like I'm sure I'm going to get 30, a whole bunch of comments about, oh, well, man, I'm just saying, I'll do, like, it shouldn't be about that. I think I would want us to get to a place where we can automatically see something like this and go, what was wrong with those kids? I would want that to be, what we pay attention to, the conversations that we have. But yeah, guys, so thank you for sitting with us and joining with us for this podcast episode. I think that's it for me on my end. I'll give Aaron, is there anything else?
Yeah, that's all, man. That's
of course.
another great
I think this was
segment.
Very
Mike.
well
Appreciate
handled.
it.
These topic points, I think, were right on par. And I think hopefully our viewers are able to take something away from this. And if you do have questions, or if you do have something that you want to say, or we did make you feel emotional, or we did trigger you, quote unquote, by all means, let us know how we afflicted you and caused your life some harm by the views and whatnot that we had today. Right? We would more than likely like to, to assuage you and to give you an idea as to what we're really talking about in full breath. All right.
Yeah, by all means, we're super available. We do have people that reach out to
Absolutely.
us about our certain points on certain episodes, and there's nothing personal about it. There's no offense. We don't come out here and start speaking about people, yada yada. It's not about that. So yeah, no, I will never do that, and I'm more than sure that my co-host Mike will never do that. This is not that kind of a channel. So please, again, like Mike said, if you have anything that you want to say, or if we rubbed you the wrong way, or you think that maybe we lack perspective on something, then by all means, please, we're all trying to learn here. Again, like Mike said, Mike and I last week said, I think it was last week when we said that we're not speaking on a soapbox. Like, we know everything. We're not freaking the great gods and kings and bestowing upon thee the freaking the blueprint of life. No, we're not. So Mike and I learn every day. We just want this to be fun and interactive. So by all means, please reach out to us.
I think that's the biggest thing, guys. I mean, we've loved the support that we've gotten from y'all so far. I mean, I think you guys have done an amazing job as to letting us know, whether we're doing a great job, or if there's something that we may have missed the ball on, or, I've had so many fun conversations, whether it even be through Facebook or even in my Facebook messages about the topics that we have. So please keep it up, y'all. I mean, we have Instagram, so you can hop in our DMs. We will be able to answer you. Me and Aaron follow our page and are on it on a consistent basis. So if you do have questions for us, we have, again, Instagram. Our YouTube page is under construction, but we do have episode 1 of season 1 on there. So if you guys want to take a look as to the beginning of it all, it's there for you. And I think we also have episode 1 of season 2. Please don't ask me why it was done this way. We're still trying to figure all that out. But essentially, that's there for you guys. Please start supporting us on YouTube as well, because we would love to. I think that YouTube is going to be a great outlet for us to be able to get as much, contact with the rest of the world as we possibly can. All right, y'all. So
Are you sure about that?